wasn't supposed to happen. What the heck happened? Try that again. Who's killing the thing? It's 8 o'clock on the East Coast. It's 5 o'clock on the West Coast. I think my Surface tablet is finally on its last legs. I think it's possessed. It is the 8th of May in the year of our Lord 2025. And if you were with me last weekend or heard about last weekend, you know my also backing up story to that particular fact. Season 15, episode 43, 712 times you have been welcome to the Clubhouse Podcast. Normally your one-stop shop for all things sports, entertainment, pop culture, and pro wrestling. But we did 3 of those 4 days ago. We got to do the other one today because we got a lot to talk about. Welcome. My name is Rob. I'm the executive producer of the Clubhouse Podcast. I need to catch my breath. Over there is my co-host. And a man who apparently is trying to keep his breath in. Alex.
That is factual because all I can think is like this week on Unsolved Mysteries. Who keeps killing the thing? Next week on Unsolved Mysteries.
I was like, what is happening right now? At the bottom of the screen is the official fact checker of Sooner Gator Productions. And a man... I got nothing to say because I can't see his shirt. You may know him as Igbunu, but his what do we do? Oh, okay, his Jeff Dunham shirt.
Mm-hmm.
You may know him as Igbunu, but his mama named him Don Ford. I'm gonna call him Don Ford. Hey man.
Whole thing. Couple things I have to say.
Okay.
Happy Mom's Day to my mom coming up.
Oh.
I love my mom.
Yes. Just keep talking because Jackson's trying to walk across the keyboard.
Okay. No. Yeah, so to my mom, thank you for every sacrifices you've done. And because of you, I'm such the great, wonderful person I am because of her. But no, I love you, Mom. Appreciate everything you've done for me. You always have a place in my heart. So you always think about Mama, Mama did Don Ford. Well, to my mom, a happy Mama's Day.
And it is also Jackson's birthday.
Well, happy birthday, Jackson.
So even though it is his birthday, he still is not allowed to walk across the keyboard. It's giving me enough issues tonight. Let's just dive right in, boys. First of all, thank you to the Frisco Rough Riders for having us out on Sunday for Intergalactic Star Wars Day. We had a blast. And stick around because we might have an announcement on that front. You don't know. We know.
Maybe a little bit.
We know. Couple of quick things. I want to send a quick shout out to one of our most loyal listeners, Russ. Russ sent me a text yesterday from the Tuesday episode of Wheel of Fortune. I don't know if you know about this, Alex. It was food and drink was the clue. And the answer was Coconut Creek, Florida. I don't know how we got there, but Coconut Creek has also been a clue on Jeopardy too. Yep. So I was just like, is that, He filmed it on his phone from his TV. So shout out to Wheel of Fortune for shouting out my town. Just a couple of quick notes before we dive into the world of professional wrestling. The 2027 NFL draft has been announced. It will be in Washington, D.C. in 2 years.
I'd be very curious to see if this is going to line up with the new stadium or if they're trying to time it that way. But, it'll be a good time.
The stadium wouldn't be ready till 2030.
I have not seen any dates on that one. That's why I was thinking it might have been in line. It depends. They have said it's a pretty large scale, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to take longer to build, especially with it being in DC proper and there's only so much square footage.
The Utah Mammoths is now a thing.
So on the thing, do you think they should just give it to the Super Bowl champion for the thing, or do they have to plan it?
There's so much planning involved. You can't put that all together in 90 days. It's just not possible.
I just want
And honestly, if we're looking at it, you know what I would really do is I would try and hire people smarter than me, prognosticate a little bit, maybe hire Vegas and be like, in a couple of years, who's likely to have a terrible team, but a great city? And let's put it there in case they get their number one pick.
I'm sorry, my wife is texting me. She's on the road and she's just gotten to where she is. So that's good news. The Utah Mammoth is now a thing.
I guess we're just gonna move on. Okay.
I mean, like you made a great point. I have no debate to it. So I'm here. I would love to see that happen.
As long as it gets cycled through and everywhere gets a shot. The summer is the one time every sports city can have equal footing for a draft. So that's really where it's at.
Well, and I like it because you're also going to get it in cities that may or may not get a Super Bowl, given environments.
Exactly.
Somewhere like Detroit, you got a roof.
I thought they got rid of that thing because, like, New York got the Super Bowl eventually a couple of years ago.
Still a dice throw, Don.
Oh no. Yeah. Don, you're absolutely right. They have expanded it into certain areas like the New Jersey outdoor, but places like Lambeau, as much history as there is, likely will never hold a Super Bowl. Seattle, great city, great stadium, probably not going to hold a Super Bowl. It's just the way it works. There is no hard and fast rule that prevents certain locations, but it is still up to the committee that decides.
And I know they had a rule before that, like, since Dallas had that hole in the roof, they got it, and like because the weather cannot be a factor. Then they changed it where they could
this is no longer applicable. That's what we're getting at.
Should Denver give it a shot finally?
No.
Should Cleveland, Pittsburgh,
no,
with these new stadiums.
No,
you know?
It's too much of a risk. Think about what happened in Miami when it rained like the Dickens. Think about what happened when the Pro Bowl was in Orlando and it rained like the Dickens. And do we want to mention the Super Bowl in Jacksonville? Go ahead and do the research if you don't know what I'm talking about, because that was a debacle.
And Dallas.
You want my honest opinion in this? Yeah. Start putting the Super Bowl in areas you want to expand to. Give us a Super Bowl in Wembley. Give us a Super Bowl in Munich. Give us a Super Bowl in Rome. You know what? You want to expand to there? Show us that you can do it in Europe with the biggest stage. Maybe do the Pro Bowl that way. I don't know. Yeah. I know people don't want to go to Florida. I understand why. Hawaii used to be the bait to get them to go because it was a paid vacation. Now they don't do that anymore, so nobody cares. That's why the Pro Bowl sucked to start, and now people won't even go for the skills competition.
Give me the Super Bowl in Pierre, North Dakota.
You know what? If there is a natural area that could hold, 100,000 people, let's do it. Let's go. Mount Rushmore Super Bowl.
Kick it old school. Just do it in an open field and everybody can bring lawn chairs.
The last season of Blue Mountain, or the movie for Blue Mountain State.
Hey, Yellowstone Park at Old Faithful. Have a Super Bowl there.
Protected land. Can't do it.
And Old Faithful does the coin toss.
Okay. I would definitely jump at that opportunity. Just blow the wheels off.
I'm smart. I know things.
We'll get somewhere.
The Utah Mammoth is a thing.
Congratulations to
with
them.
Literally almost the identical layout, color scheme, and structure to Nashville now.
Well, but if you look in the Mammoth's head, it also kind of has the Utah Jazz logo in there with the mountains too.
But at that same time, you're just looking at it going like, okay, so when are we going to get our inevitable Stanley Cup of ice-aged animals facing each other?
The memes I have seen is the Extinct Animal series is what some are called.
Oh, I don't see this. I need to find this. Please, if you come across it again, please send it to me.
And they have to flip the Predators logo so they face each other. Or whoever the home.
On the Mammoth, were they an expansion or was that a move?
No, that's an expansion team.
That was an expansion team. Yeah.
Okay.
Although they could have been in Arizona, nobody would have noticed. And in game news, before we dive into the good stuff here, Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming May 26th of next year.
We'll see. It's been expected. We'll see. My favorite one that I saw was a prop bet for well, as we know, I am the degenerate on this show.
Yeah.
And I am tuned into gambling and things of its ilk.
Really?
What I can tell you is that in Europe, particularly English and UK books, they are going to make a larger gap on things they're willing to take bets on There is literally a bet right now as to which happens first. Grand Theft Auto 6 being released or John Cena going into the Hall of Fame for the WWE.
Well, you can't bet you can't take that bet against Grand Theft Auto 6 or an American Pope.
Not anymore.
I would say, congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also rest in peace to Pope. We haven't had a real show. We'll talk about that, but well-beloved Pope. And how many times do we see a new Pope in our lifetime? Not very often. It doesn't happen very often.
Is this the fourth?
We've seen
this is the fourth.
I know, but the whole life,
but
it doesn't happen very often.
If I may, I want to take what Don's saying and say, no, he has a very valid point. This just happens to be the one time in history that doesn't really apply because of the succession and let's say the resigning and everything that goes along with it. So we happen to be in a stretch of time where there's probably more popes to years than any other time.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have worn my hat for this next day.
And it's so weird how Conclave came out just last year. Then they had to go through one.
I feel like we need to get to Rob to clarify that he's not wearing a papal tiara or he's not referring to a papal tiara.
Read, and then Don decided to keep on the Pope bits.
That's why I was trying to feed, but
I swear we've done this before. I don't. All right, mark the 16th of May on your calendar because it is the first game for the Frisco Rough Riders Copa de la Diversión, in which the riders become the Quesos de Frisco.
Yes.
I have a hat, and it's in the other room. Even my wife was like, what is that? That's right. The fresh cheese is kicking off the Fun Cup. That's in the ad read. I didn't improv that.
Okay.
I know our ad read.
Don, this is an ad read.
Ad read, Don, leave it be.
No.
Did
you see John?
I can do this all day.
Okay.
Don, shut up.
Do the ad read, man. Don just turned his chair around. Now I'm on the Voice Podcast. Our friends at El Maximo will be at the game on May 16th. It is for Texas Monthly Taco Fest. Now, if you don't know what that is, Texas Monthly has a guy, and his entire job is to rank the 50 best tacos in Texas every year. This is his job. He goes all over the state. He has a book, and I think it's awesome. So the list will be out. Come have some fun on a night of incredible local tacos before the game. Because if you get long distance tacos, they're not as fresh when they get to you. You want local tacos. And if you arrive early, you could get a rally towel giveaway presented by, I can't even say this word. It's CACIQUE.
I honestly am not sure. I think it's Kashik or Kashik.
Kashik is where Wookiees are from.
I know. That's why my brain goes there, because we did just do Star Wars at the ballpark.
Did somebody's doorbell just go off? Or was that mine?
I think that might have been yours.
Okay.
All I have is the cat climbing things.
Okay, so apparently it's trying to figure out who the company is. Oh, it's Mexican style cheeses, chorizos, and cremas. It is a food brand, which would make sense. So they've got the rally towel giveaway. And the name comes from a chief or tribal leader originally from the Taino people of the Caribbean.
So it is Cacique.
Cacique. All right.
Cacique.
Also, there's more. You can take advantage of a great offer for the Quesos de Frisco. I feel like I just want to call them that all the time.
But I need you to do it with the accent. I need you to telenovela that.
No, I will not.
Yes, you will.
Oh, de Frisco.
I do not need to go viral for the wrong reasons.
As Don just goes for it.
For every Copa de la Diversión games, you will get 2 bullpen tickets and 2 Quesos de Frisco pennants for $20.
That's a good deal.
I want the pennants. Like
I'm
the
sorry.
bullpen tickets, that's cool.
Which pennants?
The Quesos de Frisco pennant.
The Quesos de Frisco.
And what I've said many times, I will judge you by the quality of your queso and your salsa.
That is true.
$20.
That's a great deal.
And those games are the 16th of May, the 3rd of August, and the 12th of September. Now, the one in August, trying to do the math, that might, I think they're all Thursdays. So we'll have to look at that. Go to milb.com/Frisco/tickets/specials.
3rd is a Sunday.
3rd is a Sunday. That's the second day of SummerSlam.
22nd is a Friday.
Where'd you get the 22nd from?
I thought you said the 22nd.
The 16th of May, the 3rd of August, and the 12th of September.
Oh, 12th of September. I totally missed. Well, that's a Friday anyways.
That's a Friday.
Okay. That's not a bad deal, though. We don't have a show on that day. But find the double Diversion game offer. That's the 16th of May. Our friends at El Maximo, who had a new episode yesterday, I believe. Yesterday or today. Go check it out. Mm-hmm. I'm going to try to go because it's the Quesos.
Plus, they're also really well connected with ESPN Deportes. So if they're going to have anything cool, those guys from El Maximo are going to have it out there.
We had so much fun on Sunday, and I can't wait to do it again, but we'll talk about it later. Because right now, we just got to go straight here. To say that we have a lot to talk about in the world of professional wrestling is an understatement.
I like how it felt like the shortest and longest amount of time a show has ever taken to get to the cheap pop drop.
17 minutes it took us. All right. Couple of notes for the last 3 weeks. We want to send a shout out to -1, the son of one Brody Lee, who won the GCW cluster.
At the GCW cluster forever.
And I'm going to tell you something. Like, when I read the headline, I was like, wait, what? And then I saw the footage. I'm like, that kid's growing like a weed.
Yeah, he is. I mean, it was still very early for him to be in a ring of any capacity, but.
And as we know, we're about a week and a half away from the Crockett Cup, which will feature Natalia in a history-making moment. It was announced that during the pre-show, Billy Corrigan, who fist bumped Alex and myself, will be doing a Q&A on the pre-show. So very excited.
That's in Philly.
Yes, at the 2300 Arena, which that's not the only time we're going to mention the 2300 Arena not tonight. And the NWA World Heavyweight Championship will be on the line as Tom Latimer takes on Rhino at the 2300 Arena. Very interesting.
See what they did there.
It's not the only time we're going to mention Rhino tonight either.
No, it is not.
Carl Anderson, who's going to be part of a New Japan World 8-man tag. The Good Brothers and the Bucks will be tagging up together. He has celebrated 500 days of sobriety.
Now, we can't bury the lead since we are now connected to the opposing team, which means we are now adamantly anti-Bucks.
And Don, I don't think Don knows what you're talking about.
I know. I forgot the hat. So, Don, we are essentially a podcast for the Bullet Club War Dogs. Because we have a Bullet Club War Sergeant in 100 proof Clark Connors.
You mean this guy right here?
Yes.
Okay.
My hat sits on the thing over.
Yeah, I have stuff for Don too.
Because we're honorary Bullet Club War Dogs, and the Bullet Club War Dogs are the ones taking on the Young Bucks and the Good Brothers.
Okay.
Why is that so not centered? Okay, there we go. We have to loosen that up a less now.
But Don, I have your equipment and gear ready. I have it with me. I just have to remember to bring it.
Oh, I only have my hat. Or I would have worn more. It's in transit. Okay. November 15th at Cicero Stadium in Chicago will be MLW's Lucha Apocalypto.
They do love running Cicero, don't they?
And when they're doing their show, I believe this coming weekend, they're bringing back War Chamber.
Nice.
Hopefully better than when we saw.
Hopefully with more zip ties? Question mark? Or like
less Wile E. Coyote involved.
The saddest thing about this is you can look at War Chamber and say, I'm not 100% sure I want the answer to be more or less zip ties. Because like more, it's like, okay, there's more structure, but I kind of want there to be less because I want them to actually build the cage.
And this Saturday night in Carrollton, Texas, it will be Soars No Mayhem.
Yes.
And our friend Wobble will be on that card. Bell time is at 7:30. Tickets are available.
Your main event between Dante Smiley and the crown jewel Chase Owens for the OIWA Universal Championship.
Don, you had a confused look on your face.
Listen in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just taking it in.
TNA news, Savannah Evans is now a free agent. It's not the only time we're going to talk about free agency tonight.
No kidding.
But they have signed Octagon Jr.
Interesting signing on that one.
And they're now looking at banning blading.
That has actually been announced, but at the same time, I feel like that's more along the lines of just trying to be good PR right now.
Sammy Callahan would like a word. Because
Sammy doesn't need it. Sammy don't need it.
Yeah, but Sammy doesn't mind doing it either.
That is also true.
Him and Mance Warner, it's just like...
No, Mance Warner doesn't bleed anymore. You just sneeze at Mance Warner and he starts like just pulse. No, I almost threw up during the collective because of Mance Warner. So we'll put a pin in that.
Unbreakable was a thing.
That was.
That was actually an episode of Impact that started at 9 Central and went almost 3 hours. So technically that was a Tenals. I'm glad I didn't try to watch it live.
That would have been brutal.
And Don, I'm going to need your help here.
Yeah.
You okay, man? I didn't upset you, did I?
No.
Okay. I was just giving you grief earlier.
No, listen.
Remember when Booker T had that belt he made in TNA? When it was originally their TV title and then he made it their Legends title?
Yeah.
At any point, wasn't that like didn't they call that the International Championship or something?
That was with TNA, right?
Yeah. Let
me see. Let me go in there.
Because they have this international title now, which is held by Steve Macklin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Alex, it's probably Alex's favorite belt in the industry right now.
I hate you so much.
It's blue.
It's not Blue Universal, so you could suck it on that one.
But yeah, Sean Merriman showed up to promote his Access TV MMA reality show. And no, we're not going to talk about that headline when it comes to another promotion either, because that ain't going to be a thing. Moose's open challenge was answered by Sydney Akeem, who you might remember as Reggie.
And was very, very nice and fun to talk to in Vegas. He could not have been better with fans, taking time. This is a pro Sydney podcast right now.
I will say, if you haven't seen the clip, Ace Austin brought out Chris Bay, who walked out under his own power and cut a promo for the ages.
Kid's got skills.
And, I hesitate to say come back soon, but what I will say is come back when you're fully 100%.
Get healthy.
And if you can't, I understand, but keep this kid in the business one way or another. Haven't always been a fan, but he has won me over in the last couple of years. So let's see, what else do I have from that?
And that's before him winning us over as a human too.
Yeah.
I want to clarify.
We go live to Don?
Yeah, they called it the let me go back here still. The TNA Legends Championship one time. The TNA Legends Championship is what he had.
So it did not change names?
But then they turned it into their TV title too.
Yeah, let's see. It was a TV championship, so forth.
Okay.
But
it was never the international.
inaugural. Yeah.
Okay. Because at one point it was the belt that was on the line in King of the Mountain too, if I remember correctly. Let's see here.
Very King of the Mountain Slammiversary back in 15.
Okay. Very interesting in the main event. A "this is boring" chant that changed to a TNA chant like 30 seconds later. We are a fickle bunch.
Yeah, no kidding.
If you logged out early, the Nemeth brothers were challenged to final deletion by a holographic card. Moving forward to this week's Impact, we finally got Robert Stone something to do.
Yeah.
And Alicia Fox can't be Alicia Fox even with the crossover stuff.
I think it has to do with more of the fact that the contract is with another company and they own Alicia Fox.
Yeah, but then
WWE does.
It's like Elias. They can't, he has to go.
We'll get to that. Put a pin in that.
But at the same time, I want to say Don is correct. He is giving another example of exactly what we're talking about. That the company owns the names, and unless you ask, I don't know if you have that Indy Hartwell note.
I mean, I would understand if it was an Ash by Elegance situation, but it ain't for Victoria Crawford.
So now Alicia Fox is with TNA now, basically.
She is the assistant to Robert Stone, who is getting a Knockouts title match at Under Siege, which takes place in about 2.5 weeks. Rebellion was a thing.
Yeah, that was
part of my 3-month payment that I got Rebellion with it. And if they offer it again in June, I will do that because that would include Slammiversary if they offer the same offer. Maggie Lee shows up and she's now part of the Elegance team so they could retain. And Indy Hartwell, it has crossed the line. Apparently she sold the name to WWE, but was able to get it back. And
by asking.
Well, and I loved on Impact last week when everybody was chanting indie wrestling. I'm like, okay, everybody remembers. We remember the Johnny Gargano bit, so I'm happy.
I'm just happy to see indie working somewhere that I can actually watch.
And they were live last week too, which was kind of nice.
I just love the idea that they asked. It's like, I've always used it. I sold them the name and I just asked on the way out and they were like, yeah, cool. So apparently if you're just a nice person, everything works.
Which is the way it should be.
Should.
I said should.
We know there's times it hasn't, but I don't want us to sound delusional. So
let me ask you boys a question.
37.
Why is it every time I watch MTV? I'm sorry. Anybody remember Sagat, Funk Dat?
Nah, I forgot.
From the 90s?
Since I watched it.
Okay. I think we've all dealt with things like pain and anxiety and sleepless nights. I call that a day that ends in Y. What if I could free you of that and do it naturally? Naturally. Oh, Alex is taking a sip of his tasty beverage. One of the big sponsors here at Sunset Lounge DFW is called CBD House of Healing. It's a women-owned CBD boutique that wants to help you with that. They only carry products that are made from their lab, and their lab holds their products to the highest quality and purity standards. If you saw, I reposted the story of their founder that was on YDC recently and talking about their products. Their owner, who's also a registered nurse, and this is important because this isn't like your buddy Aloysius that was an intern at VH1 and has a vlog. Like, this is somebody that knows what they're doing. She emphasizes building trusted relationships through education, giving you the knowledge to care for yourself. That's the ultimate goal, because self-care is a big thing. And May, if nothing else, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So we want you to take care of yourself because your mental and your physical being are both part of that. And not being able to sleep, having anxiety, that all ties in together. So find your relief from those aches and pains, also from the emotional stress and drain. See what they did there? That's a rhyming thing. And you can sleep better. Go to cbddallas.com. Or you can visit them, 8550 Plano Road, Suite 101 in Dallas proper. Begin your healing at the House of Healing. So we want to shout out to House of Healing for sponsoring this fine network that we are a part of. I'm still
looking forward to going in.
All right, let's get into WWE talk.
Oh, we got a little bit.
So there are conflicting reports. Is Jeff Cobb retired? Because allegedly he signs with the company and then retires, but people are saying no, he just hasn't debuted yet. I want him and Bronson Reed in a tag team, and I want the new Natural Disasters.
But at the same time, you're looking at this, it's Jeff Cobb, quote unquote, is retired.
Are they marveling me?
Yes.
It's not Civil War. It's Avengers Civil War or Captain America Civil War.
Yeah. The only thing that we'll know is if the monster Matanza shows up, we're all just going to go, well, I did miss him on Lucha Underground.
Isn't that the thing that happens after Taco Bell? Oh, that's Montezuma's Revenge. I'm sorry.
Which also happens to be a great roller coaster at Knott's Berry Farms in LA.
Chelsea Green has allegedly re-signed to the surprise of absolutely no one. Did you see what she did in Vegas?
You mean the masterwork she's done at every moment?
There was a kid in the hotel lobby.
Oh, yes, this one. Yes.
And apparently she walked up and asked if he was a Roman Reigns fan. And he said, yeah. And she just happened to have a Roman Reigns Funko Pop and just gave it to the kid and took a picture with him, unprovoked.
That's the kind of people they are. Like, people want to hate on Chelsea Green, they can be wrong all day.
Those are good humans being
playing the part. That's her job, you know.
Well,
but then in public, she can be a human being, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, and when you think about it, between her and Matt actually going out of their way to adopt the Labradoodles that may have disabilities or issues, but because they have experience with the breeds, making sure that they have good homes, you can't make me hate Chelsea Green. Nobody can.
And speaking of adopting, God bless Rhea Ripley. There was a guy that came up to her table with his certificate of adoption and asked her to adopt him as her mommy, and she signed the card.
Well, did you see the response as to why she did it so willingly?
It's been a minute, so I'm going to let you do that.
So at that same time, people were like really caught off guard. Like, what if that makes it a legal document? And her response was, it said Rhea Ripley. I know it's not legal.
And then we have to get to, it's April, or it was April. Let's go down the list, boys, because every spring we have the releases. These are.
I'm gonna have a really hot take at the end of this, so I'm not gonna respond until we're done.
These are alphabetically by first name. We start with Braun Strowman, who we found out's actually been injured forever in a day, and that's why he runs so crazy. I saw a headline today that someone of note was surprised by this and said WWE shouldn't, but apparently I also read today that H has said, you know, we'll bring him back in whenever we can, like if we want to bring him in for like a quick shot or something. So
multiple sources have said it's a 3 to 4 month shot that they will be bringing him back in because of the paralysis that he does deal with from the back injury 10 years ago. That it's a little bit more difficult for him to stay healthy, but because he is, you know, you can't teach his size. He will be used in sparing situations. He'll probably be the kind of guy that you see pop up for a Rumble, things like that.
Or like a Raw retro.
Let me ask you, these people like Strowman right now, let's say they just said, Strowman, you're gone by. You know, best to you, future endeavor. What is there about, is there a compete thing of 90 days? Since they got the axe?
Now, all but one of them, and we'll get to her.
Now, the way that the function normally works on any of these is they are let go. They have 90 days, basically a cooling off period. However, we have also heard under this regime, it has been more open, where if any of the release talent says, hey, I know that it's this much time, can you give me the okay to work this date that maybe before then? They have been far more agreeable to it, but as long as they know.
Yeah.
Because if they got the axe, shouldn't they be able to go next door?
It's usually in the contract that way, Don. So
because they're not employees, it doesn't apply.
They're
they are contractors.
Okay.
One that Don and I were talking about that I think surprised both of us, and I think surprised Alex too, and Cora Jade.
Yeah,
that was the big surprise to me. If I'm being totally honest, that one might be the only real surprise to me.
And she's already going by, is it Elena Black?
Elena Black. Yeah, which was also the same name that she had used previously, and including when she was on AEW Dark.
So let me, after we go through each person on the list, let me ask, where do you think they'll go end up at?
I think
I don't think we should answer this on Cora Jade.
Okay.
Because that answer's already been given.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And it's not for this show.
Okay. Oh, I know what you're talking about now. Yes.
Yep.
Tell me out there.
We will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another one that surprised me, although given the history of injury, I hate to say I'm not shocked, but I am. Dakota Kai.
That one surprised.
I'm a little shocked. 50-50 on that.
But I mean, I think she's got a lot of talent. I think she can bring something to another promotion. Get her and Tegan back tagging again because they were a great tag team.
Team Kick.
Yep. Danny Palmer, who really wasn't being used all that much.
Yeah.
Eddie Thorpe is a guy who I think he just got stuck in a bunch of bad angles, honestly. I think he's a guy that's got talent. I think maybe they rushed his push a little too quickly. I think he's a guy that he can be in a group for a while and learn more. And I think he could be something, but I just think he got into a string of bad angles. Alex, you there? Oh, you froze up on me there for a second.
Oh, everything got a little choppy. Yeah, no, everything got a little choppy. I didn't have what you said come through, Rob.
What I said about Eddie Thorpe was he's a guy
the last thing I heard was Eddie Thorpe.
I think he's a guy he just got stuck in some bad angles, and I think he's got potential, but I think they pushed him a little too early.
Eddie has had the same problem he's had since he was Carl Fredericks. He's a great wrestler who is not really interesting in that same scope. And before anybody blows us up online, yes, we have seen the rumors of the line on the live mic that got Eddie fired. We do not agree with it. But if you're asking me to use Don's, I think he's the most likely one, and he'll be connected to us because that's a war dog through and through based on the history that we have talked with.
One that hurt my soul a little bit. All three of the Gallus boys.
I'm more surprised that they were entrusted with getting The Rock up and running for last Mania, and they're like, okay, now you're on Evolve. Yeah. And now you're unemployed.
By the way, they unveiled those belts.
Yeah,
they're going to be done in fatal 4-ways.
They look close enough to the original Evolve belts to make me feel better about it.
Gigi Dolan. Now going back to Priscilla Kelly, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she had a nice little run in AEW. That women's division is getting kind of crowded, but I think she'd be good at least for Ring of Honor, which, by the way, is airing tomorrow night because Collision's airing tonight, right now. So, one that also took me off guard and was written out in a way that just was kind of like, it felt like it was very just booking on the fly. Jakara Jackson. That was a weird wrapping up of that angle, and I was like, this is weird, and okay.
I think that one has more to do with prognostication than it does with anything else, because they're looking down the line that Lash is going to be an individual star, and at that point, where is Jakara? So they're just trying to get ahead of it at this point.
Well, she's also not the only one in that group, which we'll talk about here in a minute. Both Caden Carter and Katana Chance.
I blame Don Ford. I blame Don Ford because he is the one that has gone back to the Riho well so often with the diminutive talents.
And is it weird that I was yesterday old when I realized that they are alliteration?
For you to not realize that beforehand, yes, that's weird.
Until I typed it. I was like, oh, look at that. Another member of I can't remember that name group now. Aura Mensa, who was on Evolve as well. Metaphor. There you go. Riley Osborne, who apparently was also on Evolve.
Riley Osborne wasn't doing anything.
Yeah. Well, and they're doing something weird with Chase.
He's a Matt Seidel with a bigger body and less hops.
Hey, that man is super excited to be here.
No, Matt Seidel is.
I'm going to skip this one and come back to it. Shotzi is on the list, but she will stay under contract until July 1st. So she is one that I could also see in the AEW landscape somewhere. Just because she's good in the ring and she's got a great gimmick. So, and then in what could be in my
if I can,
please.
So you met her at Mania, correct, Alex?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Do you think when you saw her at that time, do you think she knew she was on the block? Do you think, or she kind of
not at all
at that point?
Yeah. No. To answer what Don is asking, 1,000%, I would not have. I would not have, based on the interactions and her projection, but at the same time, these are also pros, like real pros. So if there was an inclination of her knowing, she gave no indication whatsoever, to the point of being, happy to be there, full-throated, happy to help with everyone, especially when it was at Bloodsport and she was cheering on everyone and as active as a participant away from the ring as anybody else that company had during the Mania week.
Because I'll say this, because unless you're a top tier, if you're mid card or below, April hits it's probably in the back of your mind.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But that's why the other running joke is that Tatum Paxley hasn't answered her phone in a month.
Okay.
But she's the only last member of Chemical X still there.
Yeah. But it's just like Alex said, these people are professionals. They know the deal, but you don't let them see you sweat,
And somebody had asked me a very similar question, and I'll give you the same thing I said. Ash is one of the coolest people I got to meet during Mania week, and I know Shotzi is awesome and she'll be fine.
And then to me, the biggest shock is someone you may not have seen them on camera a lot, but they were doing a lot of work with NXT in Shayna Baszler.
Yeah.
That was the biggest shock on the list to me.
Yeah.
I was really surprised by that one because I thought with H in charge, they were going to understand how to use her better, which in that Bloodsport mold, as we talked about years ago when she was NXT champion versus Mia Yim. And I went on the tangent about this is what you need. You need somebody who knows how to work with Baszler that's not going to get all in their feels if they catch a foot or something. No shot at Charlotte, but
like to say.
Yeah.
If I was H, I would probably say, we'll put you on TV if we need it, but I want you at NXT teaching these people.
That's what she was
doing.
That's
what she was doing, Don.
And kept her there. And
that's literally what we were. That's literally what Rob just set up. Like this, she was literally doing all of that.
I mean, I would
but
just
Don. It doesn't matter how many times you say it. It's what was happening, and it's already been released from there.
Yeah.
The reason I wanted to hold off on where I thought everybody was going was because I have nothing to go off of on this other than some rumblings I've heard from other people. Is this a way for them to boost TNA? Like with Indy being the first one, I have a sneaky suspicion that you have because if you look at the people that were released, would you call any of them like, oh, no talent, no question, get rid of? Because I don't think you could say that about anyone. To an extent, they are all talented people. And I have a funny feeling that a number of them are going to wind up in TNA. And it's going to be building of TNA as that partner, or at least making it easier to transition for them, because all of them are really good. And now, the hot take that I have, I don't see I can see a reason every single person was released, and that's rare for me to say. Like, I understand the company's releases on every single one of these. Do I agree with them? Absolutely not. But I understand where they're coming from. Like Strowman. I mean, if the guy's making $1 million and can only give you 60% of the schedule, maybe that's not a good investment. But at the same time, they're still going to use him because he's Braun Strowman. Same concept you have with Cora Jade with the responses. Something wasn't clicking, but that women's division is really strong, and it got past her at this point. Gigi Dolan is in that same boat, even though I don't think that is an accurate statement for either of those two. Shotzi is in that same level. The difference is that she's just a little bit older than what they have been signing. So you have that across the board where it's, if you take out all emotions, you can understand the business decision that was made on every single one of these people. You just don't, it doesn't mean we have to like it.
There is another player, too, that we mentioned earlier. Is Natalya showing up at the Crockett Cup? Because if NWA really needs something right now, based on what you and I have seen, and Don, I want your opinion here, too, their women's division can use some help. Because when we saw them, I can tell you at least 40% of the women we saw on that roster, I knew from other promotions. Like the Money Birds from Reality of Wrestling. There were 2, 3, or 4 of them. Tiffany Nieves right now is working for Reality of Wrestling. They could use a shot in the arm, no pun intended. A shotzi in the arm, if you would.
You had a good point, and then you did that.
Take some of the, and Natty can be that gateway.
Well,
I can vouch for this person, this person, and this person, and that could really be one of the things that I think the NWA needs right now.
And in that vein, they may have already known about this with NWA because they set up the Natty match while at Bloodsport.
And if they kick butt in there, bring them back.
If they want to.
What?
You know, the way the schedule NWA works may be one that's conducive to them if they're making good money. Because NWA
does. But again, if you know, it's kind of like, I understand some people on the schedule, but if you're able to triple your pay and go back to be on the main roster again, you know.
Don, what he's getting at is that may not even, it may not even be a conflict because NWA records like 3 months at a time.
Yeah.
So they could literally work for NWA and then still be on the main roster without any negative effect.
Or work
it's not even bringing back as much as just utilizing in both.
Or work indie dates and work conventions and things of that nature and not have to deal with everything that comes with the company.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, but eventually they may want to get back and think.
No, you're not wrong. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Absolutely, Don.
All right, boys, let's get into Mania. We'll start, of course, with night 1.
If I can, real fast, just who do we see going to AEW of that list?
Alex, I'm going to defer to you because I've already done mine.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly, I don't think anybody. Right? If there's anybody in that list that goes to AEW, it's somebody the company doesn't want. So you'd be looking at Mensa, maybe.
I think it's Cora Jade.
Gigi Dolan.
Keep it offline. Keep it offline, Don.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
No, keep it offline, Don.
Yeah, there's a whole.
There's a whole other aspect to this that we don't want to talk about.
I see where you're going, and it's because you don't know this other piece that we don't want to talk about on it.
Okay,
that makes sense. I could see Gigi Dolan because she has history with them.
I could see her not because she has history with them.
Also true.
Yeah,
but you know you're talking about somebody that works 5 dates a year too.
That's also true.
But you, like I said, you also have the Ring of Honor thing, which would avoid, if you put her in the Ring of Honor roster, it would avoid that.
I'm wondering if we're talking about the same thing. We'll talk off air.
Okay. WrestleMania Night 1 announced on the pre-show that WWE has acquired Triple A. Let us say it correctly.
Thank you.
You, Michael Cole. And so we're going to have 2 separate pleas on the same day in the same city at 2 different venues.
Almost sounds like Stand and Deliver to me.
At 3 p.m. on June 7th, we're going to have WWE NXT AAA Worlds Collide at the Kia Forum. And then 4 hours later, we're going to have Money in the Bank at the Intuit Dome, which that'd be the one
I'm looking forward to that.
Just because it's the Intuit Dome.
Exactly.
One of the things that Alex and I have talked about is, and apparently we've had developments today on this. Don, do you know who the AAA Mega Champion is right now?
Damian Sandow?
No, because he's in the NWA.
Okay. I thought it was cross promotion.
If you were to think of somebody that could work for AAA that maybe the company may be a little hesitant to work with.
Alberto Del Rio?
Uh-huh.
Or Patron or whatever his name is this
week. Because that was the thing people were saying was that did not end well.
Yeah, of course.
Apparently, as of today, he has, because they're making all of them sign WWE contracts. Allegedly, he has signed one as of today. Allegedly. But from what I've read today, he has signed his WWE contract.
Now, at the same time, of all the people that makes me like, okay, who said that? Who said that? Like, anytime I hear somebody saying like he has signed a deal, I'm like, I'm gonna need you to tell me who said that.
Well, but here's the other thing. The thing that I found most intriguing by this was somebody that was on that particular panel that another company was advertising as on their way there in El Hijo del Vikingo.
Yup.
So Tony Khan did not win that particular contest. Let's just start with the set of Mania. Oh my God. Alex was there both nights, just, doing Alex things in a suite because that's how he rolls. I'm hesitant to say the greatest WrestleMania set I've ever seen, but the fact that there were people sitting in it kind of takes it to the next level for me.
That was really baller.
Like, because when it happened, I was like, are there humans in there? Like people that that don't work for the company. Those are like real humans. That
there was a long time of discussion where there were a number of us trying to figure out where the pyro would be coming from because we were like, that person's getting burned. That person's getting burned. For where the traditional pyro would be, we were like, oh, there is not hair surviving. He's not going to have eyebrows. She's not going to have eyebrows. I honestly, from being in the venue, I will say I feel like the stage for 38 might have actually been a little better, but that was more because of the integration of the screens. But for this Mania, with the way they had the VIP set up on either side, the special seats across the top, the moving panels of LEDs everywhere was so incredible.
Those things that were moving up and down on the aisle, that wasn't augmented reality. That was actually
were real.
Yeah, I know. They put money into the set.
That was
but
fantastic.
They weren't connected to anything. Like they were literally just on cables. Like I don't know if they were battery powered.
I saw cables. I was like, wait a minute. I saw
no. But what I'm saying is it wasn't obvious that there was like a power uplink or anything that came down to them. All you could see were the cables. But because they were wide enough, I wonder if they were on battery supply on the inside. But everything was genuine inside the stadium. It was incredible. The overtop of the stage for the screens looked really amazing. At one point, I'm pretty sure a third of it froze, but they did a good job to cover it up.
Because you were texting me when that happened.
I was like, is this broken on yours too?
But they changed the camera angle, so by the time I went back to it, nobody
smart move.
I was shocked that they started with Jey Uso versus Gunther.
You knew that's where they were starting, though.
I didn't.
But at that same time, as soon as they said what the main events were, you knew that was opening. And traditionally, whatever the quote secondary title or secondary story with a title has been since they went 2 nights with Mania, one of those has opened the show.
And a great match.
Start night one usually with one of the 4 titles, the big 4.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, you'll start both nights. It's the major title.
Yeah, that's what the big 4, the 2 women's and the 2 men's. Yeah. But then it also puts that one put the people in the big good mood right to start off the show. So I think it was smart putting him.
Well, there's also the aspect that it took 37 minutes for him to get to the ring.
And
did you see Drew McIntyre's reply to that, though?
If I was H, I know there's kayfabe and there's storylines. I would have let Solo go out there and actually hug him, too, after he won the title.
Because you had to keep that storyline intact. Now you can film that backstage and release it later, but you don't do that on live camera.
Which they've already done at numerous points in this with Jacob waiting backstage with like the Yeet Rumble shirt and things like that. So the family's tight.
And Gunther tapped, which I thought was an interesting.
I thought that was a very interesting way to tell the story. Yeah. But the Drew McIntyre reply of taking the picture of him coming down the it's been 2 hours and he's still yeeting.
Hey, when something works, I just always it was like, make it go again. And then they do it. I love that bit. There was a replay. I need to go back and watch it to see if they fixed this.
Mm-hmm.
They did a replay during that match that used the Survivor Series logo as the wife.
Oops.
I was like, why is that even in the bank? Like, take that out of the bank. New world tag champs in the New Day.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, clean.
No.
Was it not?
It was not clean. Did they miss that on the broadcast?
Did I miss something?
Let's also clarify the definition of clean. Is there was cheating, so I don't think it's clean. There was no outside involvement beyond the teams involved. Is that what you're referring to?
Fair enough. Yeah.
Because on the pin, the legs were held from the outside.
Oh, okay.
And the moment we saw Eric and Ivar show up in those outfits, we were like, well, we know where this is going.
Yeah,
and
the Age of Empires thing.
The Clash of Clans or whatever.
Yeah.
The moment they hit the stage and people were like, what's that? And then they saw the outfits. It was like the parting of the seas, but only people going to the bathroom.
Well, and I really was, because somebody that was actually in town, I really thought there would be almost shenanigans, that they would have brought him back in, but
they don't know what to do with him because he's much like Braun Strowman. You can't teach that size, but he can't really wrestle.
And that design on the back of the New Day's jackets.
Oh,
I was like, man. And speaking of that person that they were referring to, shout out to Big E who got engaged this week.
Yes.
So
stay him.
So we love the Big E.
Yeah.
New United States champion, that one kind
of... Oh, I'm getting choppy.
He's getting, we're losing.
Oh, okay, so it's not me. It's just Rob. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we're back. Okay. I lost.
Yeah.
I lost.
Yeah, we've come to the conclusion it's you, Rob, because we were able to have the conversation on that.
Well, the weird thing is I'm hardwired. That's the weird thing. I'm not working off of Wi-Fi.
But it's just how you connect to us. That's the thing, the common denominator.
But what I was saying was that new U.S. champion Jacob fought too, which I was a little surprised, but I still think it's a good move.
I am not ashamed to admit I cried like a baby in the suite. I was so happy. That dude deserves every bit of what he is getting.
One of my favorite entrances of the night does come from Seth Rollins. That was freaking cool.
It was. It really was.
Flamethrower, the quick change.
Yes.
And then the ending to that match.
Oh, yeah.
I brought it up. I did bring it up before Mania.
A lot of people brought it up before Mania.
This is, to me right now, this is not paying off on the level I want it to.
But there is, I don't know how best to describe this. There is a hanging chad to the story that I am waiting on.
Go ahead.
There is something to the story that I'm waiting on. Because obviously we're referring to the Heyman betrayal.
Correct.
Which comes up every 10 years.
Triple cross, if you will.
But
turn on Punk, then to turn on Roman, then the alignment.
But there is something that happened during that has not been addressed.
Go ahead.
That is bothering me that it's not. If you look at Heyman's face, who does he betray first?
Punk.
And he is in tears. He is distraught. He is heartbroken over betraying his best friend. Then he betrays Roman. No tears, all anger, all business. Yeah. I am waiting for that payoff because there was such a dichotomy between his heartbrokenness over betraying Punk and his fervor at betraying Roman before aligning with Seth. There is something, this story is going to go for a while. I can feel it. This story is going to go for a while, and that's going to come back.
Getting into night 2, I was amazed at and I don't know if you could see this from where you were, Alex, and no, I don't know if you noticed it, Don. The video boards that were above the ring. Mm-hmm. That was the first time I noticed how thin they were.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know that.
I mean, they were paper thin. It was impressive.
No, they are very, very thin. Part of that is done so that it can be held aloft that long in the many positions. I was able to see it. I was actually shocked. It was the first time I noticed, or I think it was the first time I noticed screens actually on the inside for the people that were around ringside that wouldn't be able to see the ring.
Oh, they changed the look of the screens on night 2.
Mm-hmm. Switched from cards to headshots.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm talking even the static image where it was the hotel on night 1, but night 2 it was a night version of the hotel.
Right, that's where the issue came in. I think it was supposed to be more dynamic, and they had a third of it freeze.
Oh, okay.
So the third on the one side actually froze, and everything just kind of went static for a little while, other than some moving light.
Dominic Mysterio pins Finn Balor to win the Intercontinental Championship, and a reaction I don't know any of them expected. The fact that Dominic just ran back to the ring because that crowd was so electric.
No, that happened twice. That's what I was telling you before. That happened twice. It only happened once on the broadcast, but it happened twice. And I was popped the moment he came out in the senior mask. And everybody in the suite was looking at me like I was crazy. I was like, you don't understand.
It took him an hour and a half to remove it. McAfee was all over that for about 10 minutes.
Okay. That was literally the loudest I have ever felt a stadium.
Really?
Not joking. Louder than Jey Uso's win. Louder than Cody's debut. Louder than anything. Dom was the man.
And he gets so booed. That's the weird part. You know what I'm saying?
But that's people are in on the joke with that.
Yeah. Sometimes fans do get it. And then the Orton.
Oh, I was so obnoxious. I was so obnoxious during this. Uh-oh. I think he's frozen again. Yeah, he's frozen.
Well, just freeze on that. I want to ask you, Alex, what was the
biggest?
For
it. There we go. I'm back.
The biggest, you thought, surprise reaction of the crowd going, the crowd's doing this or that. The biggest shock thing during the whole event. What
I don't like my answer to this. I was shocked at how anti-Bianca the crowd was.
Oh, really? Okay.
I was genuinely surprised by that. Now, granted, going against Rhea and Io, who are two huge fan favorites, I would expect it, but it was almost violent in their booing for being like the amount of booing you get in tongue-in-cheek for Dom. People were giving Bianca legitimately, and I don't get it.
I think it's the fans are dictating the way that's going to go. I think the fans are seeing the writing on the wall of her turning and joining Naomi, that this is a preemptive boo. It's just too telegraphed.
That's a possibility. So what was it you were saying before we lost you on that one, Rob? You were talking about Randy Orton, and then you froze.
And that moment.
Where the joy.
Have you gone back and watched the footage of it?
I haven't watched anything because I wanted to have this conversation independent of that.
The way it happened with the doors opening and he was still in silhouette.
Yeah.
So you really couldn't figure it out. And then everything went white. And if I'm not mistaken, the music hit before the logo did.
I thought it was simultaneous, and I thought it was before the doors opened.
Well, no, because it was for us. It was.
I'm saying I thought.
I'm saying is for us, it was a tight shot, and it was just pure white. So I don't know what happened on the Trons, but from what I watched, they didn't hit anything until after they this, and I can't even imagine how loud that stadium was.
It was okay. Here's the funny part about this. I was as obnoxious as I have been in a very long time, and that is setting a bar, people. The music and the Tron hit at the exact same time in the stadium, and there was one guy on the end of my suite that was like, I don't watch anything with WWE. This doesn't do anything for me. And I, very soberly, decided to start singing Joe Hendry's theme right over top of him the entire way.
And if there's one WrestleMania shirt that I want, it's that one.
Yes.
That, when he came out in the WrestleMania shirt.
The fact that he had a WrestleMania shirt.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is blowing my mind on so many levels. My wife came home right after that match, and I guess she just saw the look on my face, and she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like,
I'm so happy.
They got me. Like, what have I always said on the show?
Happy.
When you can book in a way that takes me off guard, because if you gave me a list of 100 people that it could have been, and as big of a Joe Hendry mark as I am, he is not on that list. And maybe my brain hasn't attuned well enough to this crossover that it would have crossed my mind. But apparently it was Randy's idea.
Yes. What I saw was that he was hand-picked by Randy to be a one-off who could execute and be entertaining. So basically what the alleged situation was Randy said, there's this guy who can do everything we need, and he doesn't need a lot of runway. That's my guy.
I wish it wasn't a squash.
I'm okay with it.
Joe Hendry has WrestleMania on his resume.
That is very true.
Like that, I mean, I literally came out of my chair. I was like, oh my God. I haven't reacted. The last time I remember saying the words, oh my God, they pulled that off, would have been Punk and Survivor Series. And when Flair showed up as the consortium. Because that was when that whole deal happened in secrecy. And I just went, oh my God, they pulled it off.
But everybody but one dude in my suite.
I mean, that
huge pop. And just everybody, because everybody just sang Orton's song. Everybody had just sang Voices. So there wasn't the anticipation. And everybody who knew sang I Believe in Joe Hendry louder than they sang Voices. And it made my heart happy.
I was just like, this is happening right now.
Oh, I was so happy.
Austin in the four-wheeler, because why not?
Because whiskey throttles.
and the text I sent to you in LA, and all it said was Cena's entrance, 10 out of 10, no notes.
Yeah. You know, it was interesting to have the discussion of like, this is the last Mania. It has to be something big. Cena always has this. And they gave it just enough time to breathe that everybody in that stadium was sitting there going, what's going to happen? And then that.
The only thing I would have wished is that they didn't play The Time Is Now. And just found some like, or played some MIDI version of it like we dealt with that night at Pluckers.
No.
kind of a version of it.
What you do is you go back to his original music when he was a heel originally. The punk, the street punk. Maybe go back to that.
You don't even remember that.
Remember he was a heel originally at one time.
No. I know that, but I don't agree with what you're saying.
Okay.
What you do is leave it with the black screen, white writing, and let him walk halfway down, and have it be like, well, we have to play something, and then just play like elevator music, like the original WrestleMania. No.
Dun, 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 dun,
Did that come through?
You wanted halfway and then elevator music is what I heard. So you play like the girl from Ipanema.
Okay, elevator music or the original WrestleMania theme that's just and like that, but that's all you get on the way to the ring.
Your entrance is important to us. Please stay on the line. And the next available theme song will be with you momentarily.
Oh my god, that would have been perfect too.
And
it's like
my
just let the saxophone start, and then it cuts off to your time is important to us.
Or Kenny G plays it live and walks out with him. Yes.
Wait, Kenny G plays Bad Man, but he does it slow version.
My original reaction was, and Don, I need you to focus on this one because I'm about to throw this to Alex and he said it perfectly. My original reaction was in all caps, that's your ending? And then Alex showed me that ending from a different angle, and I was intrigued by this, and I want to hear what you have to say as soon as he tells us. Alex, go.
I thought you were queuing up Don for his response.
No, I'm queuing up your thing, and then I want his response to your thing.
Oh, see, I thought I was gonna say let Don respond to it, and then because I think Don will have the same view that you did. So
what did you think of the ending, Don?
I thought he wasn't going to get the title in the end, and it wasn't that great. I've seen better endings for WrestleMania main events. I know why they did it. I'm not saying I agree with it. I thought it wasn't the best ending. It could have been better.
What's your reason for why you think they did it, Don?
Because that heel thing, and Cody can do the bad move, but Cena can now, and all that. The cheap.
Oh, you're talking about the belt shot.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you meant why the booking was the way it was. I apologize.
Okay.
So remember that John Cena has said all along he's going to ruin wrestling because he's the last real champion, and you don't get anything else besides whatever he wants, and it will be bad anytime he pleases.
And I see it. I don't necessarily like it, but I see it. It's just
But what I find it really interesting in that same scope is you see him doing actual wrestling moves in response to the same people who, quote, love him, but for years chanted, you can't wrestle. So it gives it that extra level of, here's me wrestling. Where's your complaints now?
But overall, I thought it was a good Mania. It was entertaining.
It's going to be my favorite. I know that's biased, but
I'm very upset that we're never going to get it on Blu-ray because 39 was the last one, which I think I still need to get. I need to look.
Probably.
Because 40 wasn't on Blu-ray and they're not doing them ever again. I'm very sad about that. Dom, what was your thoughts overall on Mania?
It wasn't the best one. In no disrespect to Alex on his.
No. I don't. Yeah. In a vacuum, I would not expect it to be.
Here's my thing that worried about, because we talked about this on Sunday, is how packed the place was. You said that it was basically filled to the rafters, Alex.
And then some, yes.
And then some. My worry is, I know they want entertainment. They know they want to make it a big 2-night event and all that, but the ticket prices are crazy now, even for nosebleed. And I think since it's sold out and they charge that much, and people still bought them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. I know what you kind of said about the next one in New Orleans. It's going to be priced out. That's
Probably.
what worries me.
It's if people will pay it, they'll keep charging it.
That's what worries me.
Because
you looked at the prices, what we paid for in Dallas versus what they were for this one. It's like twice, 3 times as much. And that's the...
Well, and the other crazy thing is, Don, if you look at the attendance numbers, we put more people in our stadium than they did in that one by about 10,000 each night.
Yeah.
Nope. So
that's what worries me.
Well, I'm hopeful that has more to do with location. Now, granted, I don't know how New Orleans is going to be set up, but I feel like there was another part of that if you're going to Vegas for wrestling, that's basically it. You are a captive audience. And with everything being so close together, they could charge that kind of thing because you don't have to worry about car rentals or shuttles or different things like that because you could walk to the stadium, essentially. So I'm hoping, I don't think this is going to be accurate, but I'm hoping that this was more of a spike because of location, but prices are going to keep going up. That's just the nature of it.
Not that much. It was just too much over that many years and that fast, I think.
Right. In other WWE news, Cardi B is your host for SummerSlam in Jersey. So get ready for that. We talked about Natty earlier. She's now officially a full-time part of Busted Open.
That she is.
So congratulations to her. There are rumors currently circulating that we have a date for Evolution 2. This is rumor. Take it for what it is. But July 5th in Uncasville, Connecticut. Or is it Uncasville?
I believe it's Uncas, but that's more because it's Native American in its origin. But at that same time, that also feels kind of like a lazy announcement. Just because it's close to Corpo or anything. And if you're going to do something that close, at least put it in Foxwoods.
Yeah. Crown Jewel this year will be in Perth, Australia.
It's the end of the Saudi Arabian agreement.
And it's on my anniversary, October 11th. Survivor Series has been announced for Petco Park in San Diego, November 29th.
Just the 29th?
Yeah, they've said one night.
Well, remember, that's one of the ones we've said. We expect to go 2 nights before SummerSlam, but here we are.
Yeah. Congratulations to Pete Dunne, who is now a second-time father.
And on the haircut.
Mm-hmm. And you have a new speed champion.
I hate this so much. I hate it, but it's working. I hate it.
El Grande Americano is your new champion.
The Tejano Stars and Stripes Forever kills me every time. It's just so bad.
Let's see here. SmackDown notes. Carmelo Hayes does win the Andre. And has to that necklace is ridiculous.
The Dre.
He's playing it so well.
I'm sorry. How are you not laughing like a maniac like I am about this?
I mean, it's funny, but it's just
Oh no. I want you to go back to Paul Scheer and the League and the fact that he's referring to the necklace as the Dre.
Yeah. I want to send a shout out.
There's a homework assignment for you, Don. Go watch the League.
Yeah, the first thing not the first time we're going to mention her tonight. Going back to the SmackDown EOS.
I think we lost him again.
Yeah, you got another freeze. He'll be back in a second.
Yeah, he'll be good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So that's your homework assignment, Don, is watching the League just to get the reference for the Dre. Okay. You started talking about Io Sky and then went Frozen.
Right. I said it's not the first time we're going to mention her tonight, but her outfit on that SmackDown before Mania with all the playing cards and stuff was really dope. You have a new women's champion, Zelina Vega, finally.
Women's US champion.
Yep. Motor City.
I was surprised by that.
Got their first TLC match. I thought that was a great match. A couple of spots I was like, do we need to do that right now? But it was a great match.
That was being in the building for that was awesome.
And we had our reappearance of one Aleister Black. And you know what? Let him work with The Miz. The Miz, that's a good program for him.
Absolutely.
And watching SmackDown this past Friday, Has Escobar lost some mass, or have we just not seen him in wrestling gear in forever?
I think it has more to do with the fact that he's working on more calisthenic cardio and has lost some of the musculature to it. But I think that's because they're trying to make him less. I'm trying not to be rude when I say this, but less redundant because Andrade is already the big-bodied version of them, and Escobar has always been a better flyer in that regard.
Getting into Raw, the reason I didn't mention this match on Mania is because it only lasted less than 24 hours, and that women's tag title run didn't take long, or Becky's face run.
Nope.
I got it, but I feel like right now it's hashtag doing too much.
I feel like we're sprinting on sections we should be walking.
Yeah, because I don't think she wins that match on Saturday.
I honestly, because of my own fantasy booking and what plays into the jacket, I kind of feel like she might have to. If there's any baseline to her as part of Seth's group, then yes.
Enter Rusev. Alex, would you like to tell a story?
Oh my God. Okay, so the new high that I will be chasing at wrestling events will be sitting in a suite.
All right, can we preface before you go further?
Feel free.
Don, do you remember the story from the first Jericho cruise when Alex and Sean were on the elevator?
But you'd have to go through.
They were on the elevator.
Taylor story.
Yeah, and Sean was saying how they had to hurry up and go back and change because they didn't want to miss the Corey Taylor acoustic set. And behind them there was an big inflatable piece of pizza that just started jiggling and laughing because Corey Taylor was standing right behind them when she said it.
Okay.
Right. So we tell you that story to tell you this story.
To tell you that I wind up in random places that I probably shouldn't be. So I got my tickets fairly late, but, sweet life it is. I am sitting in a suite. We're down front row. Sean leaves to go to the bathroom, and all of a sudden, there's a guy that comes running up beside me and says, "Hey, do you have a problem if I sit in this front row to take video?" And I was like, "That depends. Can you tell me why?" And he says, "I have a friend coming out." And I said, "Then you'll have to tell me who." And he says, "I can't tell you that, or it won't be a surprise." And I said, "Does it have anything to do with the old gentleman who looks like somebody behind me?" And he just giggles. And it turns out I was in Rusev's family suite for his return.
And the guy behind him was Rusev's dad.
Oh, wow.
It made me so happy because the joy that came over meeting Jonathan and the family and a bunch of that. They could not have been nicer and more kind. But literally being in the booth while that eruption happened was amazing.
Now, I have two possibilities for him. I'm going to go with the less cheesy one first.
Oh, because I think I have the cheesy one pegged.
My second thought is he the first step in rebuilding Imperium?
I have a comparable note, but not Imperium, but go on.
Or does he align himself with your current tag champs and you have Rusev Day?
You son of a... Oh, I hope it's the latter. Oh, I hope
is that what you were thinking?
That is not what I was thinking, but now anything I was thinking sucks. Oh, man, I thought I was going to be cheesy.
When that hit my brain, and it hit my brain as soon as he walked out, I was...
Oh, no, it's not freezing again.
So did they bring back his wife?
I don't think so. She has signed a Legends deal, so she has that. But I think Rob might be back.
But
maybe
I could
not.
See maybe when he's in some tight match.
I think I think she'll be in like one-off spots.
From the crowd in the masked up cover.
I don't know.
Does a little shenanigans. I mean, there's
no. I definitely disagree with that one.
I'm back. AT&T is going crazy these last couple of days.
So no, I'm mad because my cheesy point might be just like a slice of cheddar or American. That was some Gruyere cheese, sir. I can't compete with that because I genuinely was thinking, based on an earlier note we have, every member of the League of Nations is now back with the company.
You're missing one.
The one we don't choose to name?
No, Cesaro.
I was thinking of the original 4.
But he was part of that thing.
I thought he came on later.
About that too. And I was like, oh, but Cesaro. No,
I thought Cesaro came on later. Anyways, but you could have Alberto handling AAA, Rusev handling Raw. You could have Sheamus move to SmackDown and cover that. But I mean, you've got options around the.
And you could put Gunther with them too.
But I have a separate special biased booking that will never happen for him. That would be reforming Imperium with a new member named Mike DeVecchio.
Shout out
DeVecchio.
There was a lot going on with that women's face-off segment with Becky and Lyra.
Too much.
Yeah.
Like it hit some really great notes, but then it was like, why are we taking this is taking too long to hit? We should be doing quick hits and move.
Welcome back, JD McDonough.
Absolutely.
Good to have him back. Although I kind of like this tease of AJ and Finn. I'm kind of liking where this is going. Braun Breaker.
Just a monster.
I believe you called that, sir.
But I like what they're doing with him. I think that's a good move for him.
Absolutely.
I don't think this lasts long. I think Breaker turns because he realizes he's playing second banana and he doesn't play second banana to anybody.
But hold that thought. I want you to clarify timing on what you think doesn't last long. Like, give me a time frame.
I think Breaker turns before SummerSlam.
That is cool.
I think that's your SummerSlam match for Seth.
I think this is going to go till at least the Rumble. I think this will at least go to the Rumble, and then it'll come down to, because by that point, I think Seth will already be champion.
Or do you tease it at Survivor Series? Is that where you start
it? I think you start teasing it even as early as SummerSlam.
Okay.
But I think it'll last past the Rumble because I think Breaker might be your Rumble winner. Okay. Now, if not Breaker, Sammy is my leader in the Clubhouse based on how that's set up. But I think you start to see that divide. But I also think you see Heyman go Breaker's way rather than Seth's.
Getting into this week's Raw, shout out to Penta. Did you see the note on that?
Which one?
About his theme song.
I think I did see this, but go ahead.
That's not the theme song he's been using. It's a different version that was done by the guitarist from Tool because he dresses as him for their concerts.
Occasionally, yes.
There was another note.
Because Penta is the peak of cool.
And I told you there was another note that I wasn't going to tell you when it was coming because I didn't want you to see it coming.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in the Io Sky match. One of the most perfect and perfectly executed topes I have ever seen in my entire life. When she came through the ropes and pivoted it into a crossbody, I was like, my brain melted and I was like, oh, I can't tell him because he hasn't watched it yet.
Interestingly enough, she does that a fair bit.
Right, but the camera angle,
the camera angle caught it was perfect.
It was perfectly executed, and I didn't. That's why I didn't even want to tell you when it was coming because I wanted you to truly see it for yourself. And I'd be like, all right, this is the match he was talking about. Okay, what am I looking for?
And honestly, I blew right past it because to me it was like Io doing Io things. But not even dismissive. It's just that's how good she is.
I mean, everything was perfect in that. And for those of you that didn't know what happened after Raw went off the air, Jey Uso was attacked by a
hooded figure,
Logan Paul.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Actually, you know what I realized that I want now? I want Penta versus Carlito. And I want them over the IC title because it's who's cooler.
Yeah. It's not cool. Stand and Deliver was a thing.
I was there too.
You have new tag champs in Hank and Tank, which I think them getting the road tag team titles, I think was the warm up.
Yeah.
And Booker T was like, yeah, these guys can carry it. And I thought that was a great match.
It really was. And I don't know how much of it was on TV as well. There was a genuine surprise in the arena. And Fraxium made sure to do a whole thing even separate, like later on, as far as almost like the reaffirming with Hank and Tank of like, no, you guys have earned this. And it was really cool to see.
Sol Ruca winning the women's North American Championship was probably my last person on that list.
That was a surprise to me, but that was a really good match.
It really was a good match. We had the Stacks turn.
Yeah, which
I need pay.
As
you were talking about, we're rushing the thing with Becky. We're taking too long with Stacks.
Yes.
Oba, of course, retains. And again,
great match.
If you logged off early, Oba jaw jacked a little bit, and then backstage, Roxanne Perez gets in Stephanie Vaquer's face, and Vaquer tells Ava she wants Perez next, which that she just gets better every time she's on TV because the match she had on Monday was fantastic.
Absolutely.
We had the return of Noam Dar and new Heritage Cup champion.
Yep.
Are we also telegraphing? And I say this, is Trick Williams going to do the one thing we wanted Cena to do 15 years ago and didn't?
How do you mean?
Remember when we were all really hoping that Cena was going to heel turn then and lead Nexus?
Oh, okay. But wait, who's Nexus in this example?
Dark State.
Oh.
I feel like we're telegraphing this.
You have been banging the drum for this for a while,
and every time I see Trick and then he comes out and the things he's doing,
I don't like it. But
I'm not saying I like it.
You're not wrong.
But I feel like this is what John. What are you thinking?
You mean?
I mean, you want a Survivor Series team?
That's a valid point.
Yeah, I could see that as a Survivor Series. Yeah, I think he froze again.
I would rather have yeah, he's frozen again.
I'm back.
Yeah.
Honestly, okay. I would rather have a big bad surprise of somebody coming in than Trick Williams, just because I feel like factions are for people that need backup, and Trick doesn't right now. And I don't know that his addition elevates them.
I can see that.
I can't shake this feeling.
Oh, I know you can't shake it, but I really don't want it to be happening.
So we get to the Battle Royal, which Miles Bourne, now your number one contender, did not see that coming. When they started chanting "Walk with Elias," they muted it. And I was like, dude, just roll with it. You knew it was going to happen.
Especially since you have the Walk with Elijah parallel. Yeah.
So, real quick, we talked earlier before we get into AEW talk about the Rough Riders. 2 weeks from tonight? Question mark. Oh, this isn't the plugs, bro.
Well, no. I was debating on throwing it up because it's an ad read.
2 weeks from tonight, Thirsty Thursday, this show will be live at the. We're going back. The Rough Riders have decided they want to go another round with this craziness. So 2 weeks from tonight, is it 2 weeks from tonight? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing?
2 weeks.
May 22nd, we're going to be live with the Frisco Rough Riders. Now, stay by the channel because we've got to work some logistical things out about when the show might start a little early. It's actually, the show is going to start a little early because I believe first pitch is at 6:35 that night.
Thursdays are traditionally at 6:35 at Frisco Ballpark.
Thursday, you want to be there because Thirsty Thursday is a cool thing. Get your ticket. We'll be the Bull Moose Saloons where we're going to be hanging out, doing the show, doing what we do. We had such a great time Sunday. We're going to do it again. So come join us 2 weeks from tonight. And every Thirsty Thursday, the Lazy River is 21 and up only. And that's a heck of a Lazy River over there.
Yeah, it is. That's like a full pool.
Symbol. It's pretty dope. I ain't gonna lie to you. And that cheesesteak was fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
I very much enjoyed my cheesesteak. I might get another one. You don't know. I can't be predicted. But come hang out with us. We're going to hang out, watch the game. It's going to be a blast. 2 weeks from tonight. Thirsty Thursdays are every Thursday. And every Thursday, you're going to have some sort of Sunset Lounge DFW representation out there. Whether it's us, whether it's YDC, whether it's Maximo, whether it's Shippy and Groobs, the Ingle Angle. You never know. You just don't know.
You may even have a date at the end of this summer where you're going to have every single show represented at the ballpark.
And had a brand new show today called The OG. You want to go check that out. It is Rhines, Grego, and Groobs. That's all you need in this world, kids. Go check that out right here at Sunset Lounge DFW. That being said, let us get into...
Before we go to the AEW, one thing I want to bring up on WWE and the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
And I like this guy. I really do. I know you really like this guy. But Pat McAfee, Michael Cole is not the GOAT. Michael Cole is not the GOAT. Gordon Soley.
I agree. I agree with you 100%. I've said it many, many times on this show.
Yeah.
The problem that we face is that we're old. Okay.
And you're working yourself into a shoot, brother.
There are two generations people of humans removed from the greatness of Gordon Soley. Because even JR has said, I am not the greatest. Gordon Soley is the greatest.
Yeah.
If you put 100 people under the age of 40 in a room, 90 of them ain't going to know who Gordon Soley is. So to them, their GOAT could be Michael Cole.
Yeah.
That is an excellent point. Because what I was going to say was I acknowledge the lack of my knowledge in this scope. And I defer based on if JR has told me that Gordon Soley is well beyond him, I believe it. Without the network years ago, I've never heard Gordon Soley.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's
there's a whole Shivani.
Yeah, Shivani's on the metal fan, but again,
yeah, I know.
And we're gonna get to Shivani here in a minute. This is why the GOAT discussion always wears me out.
I know.
Because there's no level playing field. Yeah. There just isn't. That's why you can't say this is the greatest team I've ever. You could be the greatest team you've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
But again, Dolphins win. If I put the 72 Dolphins in the 138-4, because the game's different than it was in 1970. Mm-hmm. So you can't compare eras.
But when you say GOAT, I'm just saying I love Mac, but no, he's.
But at the same time, to get caught up in it is just silly.
I know.
All right, and
I love that he froze with his hands up.
This year's residency for AEW end of September or end of August, beginning of September will be at the 2300 Arena in Philly. They announced that. And their first book that's going to be about the first 5 years is going to be called This Book is All Elite. That will publish November the 4th. So I think Alex froze, but Don didn't. There we go. The Righteous apparently is now on the free agent market.
Well, there has been some teasing about the fact that they are not going to be on the free agent market very long, as that may be your new backup for, can we say friend of the show, Karrion Kross now?
Yes, we can. And I dig that. And they announced last night after they went off the air, Tony Khan announced that there's going to be a brand new pay-per-view that will debut in Detroit, but he did not say when. So,
but why?
This, like I said earlier, this week's episode of Collision is live, and it is tonight. I don't know what. Oh man, I wish I remembered what happened here. Claudio destroyed something, and the crowd started chanting, "That's expensive," and that made me giggle a little bit. So when Ricochet's cutting the promo and somebody makes fun of his bald head, and Renee at the end of the promo just kind of gives him a hair flip, even though she'd cut a bunch of her hair off. I thought that was hilarious. We love the Renee. Oh, I think Alex is full on frozen.
Yeah, he's frozen.
Because that's not me, because I can still see you.
Yeah, he's frozen. He's coming back and forth.
I'm going to be totally honest. I had nothing for the last 2 minutes.
Okay, so I was saying that 2 weeks ago on Collision, something happened where Claudio destroyed something and there was a "That's expensive" chant, and that made me giggle, but I don't remember what it was. And then Renee with the hair flip at Ricochet after he got the promo cut about him not having any hair. And that's even after she cut a bunch of. Oh, dadgummit.
You both froze.
I'm back.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm frozen or not. I'm just not getting anything.
We hear you now. You're back. And Rob's froze now.
I'm back.
Great technology.
Delayed as hell.
Yeah. I'm just gonna run the rest of the notes real quick so it doesn't happen again. I will always love how Nigel says Christian Cage. That will always make me giggle. What am I missing with hologram?
What do you mean?
I got nothing.
I don't know if you're gonna hear me on this response, but you're anything on hologram. It's just them grasping at straws.
No, I have you. And how about Harley tagging in the puppet when she tagged with Mercedes Moné?
This is so delayed.
I have you now. But Harley did tag in her Mercedes Moné puppet, and I really wish Statlander would have pinned it because that would have brought me joy. Alex, are you back?
He's frozen.
Don, I have you.
Yeah. He's frozen again.
Ooh. We have Paragon now, which is what Roddy Strong and Kyle O'Reilly are now. They're
Paragon?
Yeah, with Adam Cole.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see last night yet. So, but
I will say from last night's Dynamite, I'm not starting a new. Oh, there goes Alex.
Yeah,
I'm starting a new hashtag Justice for Giovanni. There's Alex.
Let's see.
Yeah, no, wow, you're really loud too. Holy cow. All right, so let's go back and go over what I went through.
Speed run.
I love how Nigel says Christian Cage. That brings me joy. Harley tagging in the puppet.
I have that note every time.
Harley tagging in the puppet. I still think Chris Statlander should have pinned it. I really want.
Even better if you had to like rip the puppet's head off and do the head and shoulders trick that Lawler did.
I really want a podcast that's just Nigel and Tony Storm talking, and that's it. That's all I want. No format. But your Tony Storm quote of the week is, "I am also a CEO, a copious estrogen owner." We also talked about Paragon, and that's a thing. And I've got hashtag Justice for Shivani because I don't know why we keep picking on him. I don't know what it is about heels picking on Tony Schiavone, and it has to stop. And enter Rhino.
Target.
I saw an interesting meme today that showed like Rhino's first WWE match, win. Rhino's first TNA match, win. Rhino's first AEW, did not win. So,
he debut? I didn't see.
Yep. He was a mystery opponent.
Oh boy. Okay.
So, and his quote was, "I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time." So I don't know if this is a per appearance, because as we know, he's fighting for the NWA title next weekend. So we'll see. Anything else you boys want to talk about?
No, I'm good.
All right.
The only thing we didn't cover from Mania Week, I wanted to give a shout out to Game Changer Wrestling being awesome hosts, letting me see a whole lot of events, including multiple Murder Grandpa matches, ZSJ, the aforementioned Mike DeVecchio really surprising me. Man like DeReese, really, really impressive. Michael Oku, make sure you go look up these people. They may be on the indies more than anything else at this point, but they are wildly talented. Not the least of which adding Clark Connors and Gabe Kidd are de facto leaders. But man, was it so good. Great hanging out with Wobble, calling the Fuego heel turn that has officially happened this week with him tasering Sam Stackhouse. If you haven't seen it, go look at the video. It's insane.
And he's selling all
going by KJ Orso.
Yeah, he's selling all the Fuego gear. So,
he's hardcore into that bit.
There's a QR code over there that you should click on to go to all of our social medias. You can email me questions, comments, concerns. Somebody go #. I'm Rob at theclubhousepodcast.com. You can follow me on your social medias. Everything is Yes That Robber, and that is spelled ERVIN.
I am Vexploit on all social media. If you'd like to help out the show, go to prowrestlingtees.com and search for the Cheap Popcast. We got a lot of different shirt options inside of those shirt options. If you happen to be an artist and you want to contribute, you will get paid for every shirt that sells.
The URL to get those awesome shirts that make me look good, prowrestlingtees.com/cheappodcast. At Twitter, I'm Eddie Bonu, IGBNUU. If you want to smash your place just like we are, we're going to be again with the Rough Riders. Email me, Don, clubhousepodcast.com.
Remember, 2 shows next week. One will not be live, but we have 2 shows next week, and we'll talk more about that on next week's show. Charlotte Marshall's on Pinterest because we are morally obligated to say that. Our normal show every Thursday night at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific is your one-stop shop for all things sports, entertainment, pop culture, and pro wrestling. So until next time, Alex just left the stage. Not sure what happened there. Add him back to the stage. You just disappeared off the stage. I don't know what happened there. For Alex, for Don, for the Empire, I'm Rob. Don, stick around for a minute because I need to talk to you about something.
Yeah. Clubhouse
is closed. Brittany Palmer, she should come to. She would enjoy a Rough Riders game. I'm just saying.
This is a Stolen Water Media production.